Good afternoon, everyone, and thank you for joining the third webinar of Jisedai Contemporary Arts Platform, or JCAP, featuring Mr. Ryotaro Fuyuki and Trad Travel. JCAP is Japan Foundation Manila's newest project that is dedicated to the co-development of contemporary arts in Japan and the Philippines. Before we introduce our moderator for this afternoon, here are a few reminders. This webinar has simultaneous interpretation from Japanese to English by the interpreter, Ms. Yumi Calderon. Audiences in the Zoom webinar can turn on or off the Japanese or English languages from the Interpretation tab. Please note that the presentations of our speakers today will be delivered in Japanese. If you have any questions or comments in English, Japanese, or Filipino, kindly use the Q&A tab. Our moderator for this afternoon's webinar is Mr. Mark Salvatos. He's a contemporary artist living and working in Manila. He studied advertising at University of Santo Tomas, Manila, and since 2006 has produced his artistic project as Salvage Projects, working across various disciplines and media. In 2016, he co-founded Load na Dito, an artistic and research initiative with curator and researcher Mayumi Hirano. Friends, ladies and gentlemen, please welcome Mr. Mark Salvatos.
Magandang hapon sa inyong lahat. Thank you for joining us in JCAP webinar today. To our online audience and on-site audience here in our space in Cubao. Thank you very much. And it's rainy afternoon, but everyone is having good coffee. So thank you for coming. And to our guests online, please stand by for our presentations by the two presenters, Trad Travel and Fuyuki-san. So to those of you who are joining us for the first time, I'd like to give you a short background about JCAP. The letter J of JCAP stands for Next Generation. Jisedai Contemporary Arts Platform is the Japanese Foundation Manila's new project dedicated to co-development of contemporary art in Japan and the Philippines. Cultural exchange, particularly between Japan and the Philippines, has been a long-term initiative by the Japan Foundation, and we are excited to expand our knowledge and explore other opportunities for continuous and even deeper collaboration. JCAP was launched just last month with Kyunchome, composed of Nabuchi-san and Miss Eri Honma, as the first guest speakers. The duo shared with us some of their works with video installations as their main medium. They are currently here in the Philippines for their research in connection with the ocean and gender identity. The second webinar featured Mayumi Hirano, part of Load na Dito, who is also based in this house. So she talked about her experiences and the result of her research in Japan through the Ishibashi Foundation, the Japan Foundation Fellowship for Research on Japanese Art. Our webinar this afternoon will be about Trad Travel, art hub based in Osaka, and Ryotaro Fuyuki, an artist-curator who described his works as something in between sculpture and situation. In the coming months, JCAP will feature award-winning Filipino artist Leroy New, who is currently in Fukuoka, and many more curators and contemporary artists from Japan and the Philippines. JCAP will continue next January and a colloquium in February 2023. Which will serve as an overview of all JCAP events. We hope that you will continue to join and support this new program. To welcome us all, I would like to turn the floor to JFM's Assistant Director, Mr. Wataru Abe.
Good afternoon, everyone from Lenin, Manila. Konnichiwa, minasan. I'm very thrilled to be here today at Load na Dito studio for JCAP third webinar. This is one of the first hybrid events that the JFM has co-organized, and we would like to thank Mark-san and Hirano-san for accommodating us. The Japan Foundation is the only institution dedicated to carrying out Japan's comprehensive international cultural exchange programs throughout the world. In line with this, we acknowledge the existence of various forms of contemporary art exchanges between Japanese and Filipino contemporary artists. What we aim to achieve through this project is to link together what were once isolated individual connections and weave them into a more expansive and all-inclusive exchange. JCAP aims to foster dialogue, interaction, idea exchange, and collaboration between artists and curators from Japan and the Philippines. For JCAP's third webinar, we are pleased to invite Fuyuki Ryotaro and Travel from Japan. On behalf of JFM, I'd like to thank all of the artist curators who helped us realize this new platform. I would also like to express my sincerest gratitude to our audiences online and on-site. Thank you for your presence and participation. ありがとうございました。
Thank you, Abisan, for welcoming our audience. I would like also to remind everyone that this webinar is recorded, and for our friends who have work, who cannot join today and care work today, so it will be uploaded in the JFM's website soon. So before we begin, we are honored to learn about Travel. Travel is an art hub based in Osaka with a philosophy of creating tourism and human traffic lines from an artistic perspective. It is co-presented by Yukawa Nakayasu and Kenji Yoshida. We have been collaborating also with Travel for quite some time, and we met them several times when we are in Osaka. Travel has introduced the function of a travel agency into a conventional art center and organizes exhibitions, artist residencies, and artist talks, mainly to promote mutual exchange with visiting art professionals and researchers in Japan. The project also explores the overlooked possibilities of globalization in Japan and proposes new situations to society through mutual exchanges with pioneering activities taking place abroad. Major activities include the exhibition in the era of Asia's post-LCC, Kyoto Art Center 2020, Artist in Residence EIRA from 2021, and an online art school started in response to the COVID-19 pandemic. Let us welcome Yukawa Nakayasu and Kenji Yoshida from Travel. Hello, guys.
Hi, thank you. Thank you, Mark, for introduction. Mark and Abe-san, can you show the presentation? ちょっと画面を共有しながら説明させていただけた
While
ら。
I will share the screen, I'd like to explain. My name is Yukawa. Hello and hello everyone. I am Yoshida of Travel. Nice meeting you both, all. First, about Travel. What is our background? How did we start? That is what I'll be sharing first. We launched Travel in 2019, but even before that, Yoshida's son and myself and other members, we are artists and researchers, and we have done exhibitions, art in residence, both locally, and we have met a lot of friends and have increased a lot of friends. And because of the relationship that we have our personal relationship. We didn't want to end it with just that personal connection. I wondered if, as an individual artist, our experiences, if we can share, how could we share all these experiences that we have individually? And that is how the Travel idea came about. In Osaka, we have alternative activities and art scenes. These individual activities really take advantage of the site's specificity. For example, the artists or art-related people from other countries, we have Breaker Project, Coco Room, etc. So these are for art professionals from overseas. So when we introduce this, their reaction is greater than even what we imagined their reaction to be. But the Osaka art scene is not even known within Japan and abroad. And so we're often very localized in our own inner circle. But being aware of this situation, living in Osaka, so we feel this every day. And so Kansai is Osaka area. So Kansai is like Osaka, Kyoto region. So thinking of Kansai region as well as overseas, how could we do something, to make it an art hub, to make it a hub? And with that in mind, we continue these activities. Presently, so the company is introducing the function of a travel agency to the traditional art activities that I have just mentioned, and with a goal, we have this realistic but also artistic perspective in creating tourism and human conduits from artistic perspective. For example, specifically, we have art researchers, art professionals visiting Japan, and they would organize exhibitions, talk events, art schools, and other activities that open up new situations. And for foreigners who are not really, doing activities in Japan, or even for them to see what's going on in Japan and in other countries. So these are activities that we do, hopefully influencing that. What we're very much aware of in our activities is within the Kansai area, within Osaka area, it's a domestic, it's not that domestic perspective, but we want to look further into Asia. So we have the LCC, these are the low cost carriers, right? So we want to use the LCC network and primarily in Asia. So it's like Osaka in Asia. And that's how we want to expand our activities, or we are expanding our activities. Behind the scenes, the origin of this is even before the pandemic. In 2018, we had foreigners visiting Osaka. Show the number of foreigners visiting Osaka tripled from 2014 to 2018. So in Asia, I think this was a perspective already that made me think Osaka is already a hub, plays a hub role in Asia. So that perspective of, Osaka in Asia, so that is the foundation or our perspective. Now, Travel also wanted to work proactively to explore possibilities with all these foreigners that are visiting Japan. Rather than sightseeing, we wanted to accelerate the situation. What are the possibilities that we can do? So we started thinking that way. Since we started this activities, it's already our 4th year. And we have continued to collaborate with foreign art professionals every year, despite the pandemic disaster. So in this sense, I think Osaka has been really a place and a potential location. Osaka, it has the great potential. So even now, I still strongly believe in that. I'd just like to give you one example. In the foreign art professionals, and what we did together with them is in 2020 January. This is a post low cost carrier or LCC era. So the title is In the Era of Asia's Post LCC. That's the title. So this exhibition that we did, So this is one of the projects we collaborated with overseas arts professionals in the exhibition. So the exhibition considers the dynamics of the movement of people, goods, and information across national borders, and invites a total of 7 artists from 4 Asian countries, and Mr. Markson was also included in this. Specifically, this ties with what I've been talking about, but we delved into all the changes that have occurred around the world since the global proliferation, I think, is the word, yeah, of low-cost airlines, which has led to a rapid reduction in physical and psychological distance between cities across countries and accelerated the movement of people, goods, and information. So that's where we put our perspective on or at. So from this perspective, our motivation was to provide an opportunity to consider the social conditions of the future through exhibits with artists who focus on with artists who focus on themes such as tourism, immigration, communication with the LCC region. There's this huge change because of the pandemic, but almost exactly when the pandemic began. That's really the timing of when this project started. So it was a big turning point for us, this exhibition that we did. Now going back to what I was saying, we were conscious of the fact that the 7 participating artists had lived and worked in each other's country. Like Mark San stayed in Japan, created an art, and then did some exhibit. So these 7 artists, each of them have done exhibits, they're as a group. You can compare the social situation for them to understand the social situation of that country they were staying at and creating, and then exchange that idea or information. So in order to ensure the collaborative nature of creating an artist-run exhibition, participating artists were selected from the pool of known artists. So in other words, we selected artists who know each other's authorship and the social situation in each country, and with whom we can share empathy. So it's to really understand the social situation, right? So to really empathize with that situation of the country they were assigned at, and then create something. And so apart from the statement of, the LCC, how do we show the collaborative, how could we have some collaborative theme for authors before thinking of the statement, we secured the artists, the authors. At the beginning of this exhibition and the planning, so we had Mark San and then Mong Jane Wu from Taiwan, and then the 2 of us. So we exchanged opinions and discussions on what kind of exhibitions we could do. But after emphasizing collaboration and exploring the possibilities, the number of artists eventually grew to 7 because of our connections. And so from 4 of us, they became 7 of us. And also Hirano-san of Lord Nadito. So we had that person also contributed to this. Now, this exhibition from Kyoto, we also had one in Thailand. The implementation after the Kyoto exhibition, so the discussion to do this outside of Kyoto came up. But because of the pandemic, we had like maybe 3-4 times we had to delay this project. So it was really an uncertain, fluid situation, and how these participants could really contribute, how can we really create this communication? So we really had a difficult time during this period. And then Japan, Philippines, Thailand. So these three countries have very different circumstances, but then these three artists would work on the management and production of an exhibition, and really, we need to communicate in English to have this done. So it's hard. We felt that we couldn't really express exactly what we wanted to express because we had to speak in a foreign language. And of course, there are things where we don't understand it or it's not clear. So the one listening to that explanation needs to really become also creative and use this imagination also to be able to implement what is being discussed. So in a situation that changes from time to time, it's even now we're like, what do you think of this? So we ask each other. We always ask how we could do, or our thinking, how we improvise. It became a foundation of these questions that we ask each other as for this project. So sometimes, in the middle of this discussion, we get some new information, and so based on that new information, we would change the plan or to add to the statement. So we had this acceleration also in these moments. We were able to also execute or have this acceleration because of these situations. As a result, Penwadi-san of Thailand became the guest curator, and also Lona dito. And then, though discussing among the members, we decided on our own works also to be shown in these exhibits. So, discussing and then creating our own artwork. Now, when I was talking with Pewadi-san about the fact that both Travel and Lona dito are collective teams, the idea of calling also a collective from the Isan region, also from Thailand. So this idea came about. Now, in Thailand, there's a large economic disparity between Bangkok and the provinces. So one of our members is like a professor, but then the others are working in other jobs, and so like help out in the field. Like during harvest time, they have to go back and help in the field. So there were also participants like that. Even inviting them who are not in the Thai mainstream art and in a sense invisible in Thailand. So for them to come to the Royal University Arts Center right in front of the Royal Palace was in itself a clear intention that Penwadi-san had. Now, what's also quite interesting is that this collective in Thailand, the two of them are participating in the travel residency project, and they're actually living in Osaka right now, or staying in Osaka right now. So this impromptu and very organic expansion of these human connections may be one of the characteristic of travel. Yeah, it's one of the characteristic of travel. Now, about the Philippines, maybe you can talk about it. Okay. So this is another project. I'm Yoshida, so I'll be talking about another project we did. As Yukawa-san shared right now, so we have this exhibition in Kyoto, and then we also did something different in Thailand. And presently, it's part of the same series, but a different an attempt in the Philippines. Perhaps more details would be talked about by Mark-san in if there's another opportunity. But if I would be allowed to explain a little bit. So like, when making a exhibition, we have to use resources, right? Like maybe a lot of trees or wood, or like there are a lot of things, right? And then of course costs for these things are increasing. And then there's the Ukrainian war that broke out as well. So we ask ourselves like can we actually hold the usual exhibit, or should we even do this kind of exhibition? So in thinking about the project for the Philippines, so these are in the mind of the Japanese side, Philippine side, Thailand side. We all share that we are very conscious about the current situation. And then for load na dito in the Manila. So to create an alternative exhibition, like how could we do that, right? And so with that thinking, think about, so we said, let's propose to think about an alternative exhibition format, led to a project to think about the exhibition itself. So not in a form of exhibition, but in a form of a book. So with the travel team, we had several ideas, including possibility of creating contemporary, thinking of contemporary art. So it's like an introduction-based art. So there's this art that's called introduction-based. For example, I'm the artist, and then there's something I made, right? That have this art. So it's not like that. Let me show you. For example, this screen, this slide, if you want to say, this is a Thai artist who shared their work. So in this, he followed a certain process, and then it's like an explanation. If you follow this process, this is what you can create. So this is like instruction type. So in the 4 years of travel doing these activities and different exhibitions, so we have a lot of inputs, a lot of artwork from different artists and so we sort of summarized or put together all these art that was created. So we call it Time Sick. That's the title. So homesick, right? So it's like coming from homesick, we use time sick. So of course, the pandemic is not yet over. It's like we're reached a point where the pandemic is there, or the coronavirus is just around, right? So we sort of are already adjusted in that situation. Now, what that means to us is that, like in this event, for example, this is a hybrid event. There's an on-site and an off-site event. So we are implementing this project. So even the place, time, it's compared to the pre-pandemic situation, it's quite different. Even how aware we are, how we feel about art. So it has changed because of the situation. And so our perspective of time before, like for example, if you heard a song of the 80s or something, or the 90s, and you go, oh wow, you look back at the past, right? Or you see something very futuristic, something, and then you think of the future. So perhaps time is now coming up to in a different way. We feel time in a different way. So that is one of the reasons why we call it time sick. So the slides that you see on the screen, these are artists who participated. Sorry, these are the pictures that the artists who participated shared with us. So these are Thai artists. So we have our artist in resident project in Osaka, and this one is Rina. So it's the first time this person attended the residence program. So this is their work. So this is another artist from Thailand. He's also a resident artist in Osaka. Now this one, this is Yukawa-san's work. Maybe Yukawa-san would like to explain his creation. When we talked about time sick, this book as a project, so it's like an instruction type book or direction type book. You know that the phenomenon when someone yawns, other people also ends up yawning, right? It's like we are affected by that. So I thought of that yawning, and then somebody would also yawn because of that phenomenon that humans have. So in this corona period, to breathe, right? We become very sensitive already in breathing because of the pandemic. So when you're yawning, of course, there's that fear of, when you yawn, you might get a virus, but then yawning is also, type of breathing. Now, thinking of yawning, it's not really relaxed, or it's not only relaxing or sleepy, but it's actually a phenomenon when you're nervous or when you're tense. That's when you yawn. And yawning doesn't, the phenomenon doesn't occur only in humans, but also in animals. So the work that I made, so you read the QR code using your phone, mobile, or tablet, and then this video shows the woman, yawning in various places. Just put it there and then watch the person yawn. And then when they see that, the video, you'll hear somebody yawning. You hear the yawning sound. Or even if you're careful not to yawn, you end up yawning. So the fact that you yawn, the reaction to yawn if somebody else yawns, means like there's like a telepathy, or there's this connection or something that makes you also yawn when somebody else yawn. Maybe because you're both human, so there's that certain connection. So this is the instruction type work that I created or I contributed for this project, the Time Sick book. Now this one is a different author or artist. This is a Turkish artist. So this person is also in Osaka as a resident artist as well. Name is Gokchen. Gokchen. So what he did is hand gesture, putting different meanings into these hand gestures. So it's maybe if you say it, maybe some people will react negatively, but maybe when you gesture it, right, when you don't speak it but you show it with your gesture, what's the reaction in society. So this is also in the book. There's a QR code that you can check, and then you'll be able to see the work. You can also play it, like you have a monitor, and then you can just have it in loop. That one. Now the next one is mine, the one I made. So this is about the pet. So for example, my mother has a pet dog. And my mom would say, "Oh, I know everything about my pet dog." And so, I would just listen to that. But sometimes I would wonder, right? Oh, yeah, right. Like, is it really, does my mom really think she understands everything about her dog? So, I would wonder, right? But then, in that situation, there's understanding, or there's also misunderstanding, or there's one way, like if there's an assumption of how the dog feels because you love the dog. But then this one is very simple. The work that I did, video record your pet and then watch it and then interpret what the dog is thinking or saying, and then put the voiceover of what you think the dog is thinking, right? So you can do the QR code, and then you can watch it, and you can do this. Mm. So this is how to write. This is the step by step of how to make this art. And so the one who's reading this book would be able to, maybe they have their own pets, so create that kind of artwork by following this instruction. This is another artist. Um, this person is very interested in the layout of the Japanese home. So that's the theme of this person's artwork. So this person drinks tea every morning, Japanese green tea every morning. And it says here, I'm here, right? So this person always sits there to drink the tea, the green tea. So the person who reads the book, right? Let's say at the same time that that person is drinking the tea there, in your house, you can sit on the other two, like you can sit there at the same time. Then you're doing it at the same time. So it's like you're having tea together, but in a different space. So we have limited time left. So maybe we'd like to talk about what we're planning to do. So presently, the Turkish artist is going through the resident program and is staying in Osaka. And well, they're of the same batch, same age. And so they have a lot of commonalities with us. So there are a lot of big things that we really agree on. And so naturally, it's easy for us to come up with another exhibition. And we haven't had the next one yet, but then we're thinking of pursuing a project in Germany. I mean, Deutsch. In Germany. So So we had this situation where, a lot of foreigners would be in Osaka. So thinking of the future, the the post LCC situation, post low cost carrier situation, right? So we're thinking of that network that we built with the LCC, and looking at the post LCC. And right now we cannot really physically, go from one place to other, right? This cultural exchange or international exchange is not possible really to be in those places physically. So even the thought of doing another project in Germany, it's possible that somebody else would be involved in Germany, and then there's a new interpretation of the project, and then the project could evolve to something we could call the next step. Shida-san, myself, we would do residency also in Taiwan. So we're also considering doing a similar exhibit in Taiwan. And it's not yet finalized, but that's what we hope to do. So we hope that the parties from various regions will realize projects like this in their own areas or respective areas. And then to spread, for these projects to spread organically. So Astra Travel, that's something that we always wish for. So go outside the Asian LCC. Today, we talked about the exhibits, creative projects, something that's related to exhibitions. So we shared with you a lot. So we have just limited time right now. So we'll like to quickly explain. So travel, as we shared earlier, we also have this artist in residence program. So I'd like to share with you about our artist in residence program of Travel. So we are not a huge organization. We don't have our own building or anything like that. So we have like 4, artists. So how do we do our residency program? So, so, so there may be a company, an organization where there's a place where artists can create or artists can exhibit. So we or the people who brings this project or program or people who want to be in Osaka and create foreign artists who want to do that. So we invite them, and then so we connect the person who owns a space, a person who owns a venue, and then the artist who want to do something. So we connect the three, and then we have right now the Air Delta. Air Delta is the artist in residence project. So it's called Air Delta. And so we talked about earlier the one we plan to do in Germany. So in Germany, so this artist is from Turkey, and so we're thinking of doing a project in Germany. So that's one example. And then not just the artists, but we have other genre like movie. So we have like Air Delta Volume 1, Air Delta Volume 2, and then for Delta Volume 3, we have this movie director. This is a Thai movie director, the one you can see on the screen. So this is a project of that person. And then this is a different, this is a project by the 2 Thai artists in Osaka. Now, aside from the residence project, we have the Tra Talk. So it's a talk show. So we're also very aware of the participants. Of course, one reason why we do this is we don't have locations. We don't have places to create. So we would share a venue, we would share or we would borrow a place, and then as a researcher, this Mr. Takayama, Kentaro Takayama, we invited him as a speaker. He's a researcher, and so we invited as a speaker. And like we would, like we would ask him, which artist do you want to hear from? Or what do you want to find out about? So he would say, oh, I want to talk to Leonhard Bartolomeus. So we call him Barto. So he said he wants to speak to Barto-san. So we invited Barto-san, because that's whom Mr. Kentaro-san wanted to talk to. So we connected them. We also talked about this at the start, that we also do educational programs. So after this, Fuyuki-san would be speaking. So he's also in Osaka, who lives in Osaka. So he'll be also sharing. So this, he's a participant of this online children's art school. So because the pandemic started and there was this emergency, situation, emergency status in Japan and maybe in other countries as well. So suddenly, there were no more school. The children couldn't go to school. So these little kids, they lost, they would have lost any venue and opportunity to be educated. And so, and then these artists as well, all their exhibits, all these planned exhibits were canceled, right? So everyone ended up, they have to stay home. They couldn't leave. So that's Fuyuki-san, the picture. So for artists who are based at home, we ask them to be teachers and then, connect the kids who are at home anyways and, to participate in this online education program by an artist. Now, we did this 7 times, And then we did 7 times, and then we stopped for a moment. So because they started, going back to school, kids going back to school. So back to school happened, but the international interaction was not possible because traveling was not possible by that time. So how could we combine art and international relations or international exchange? So we came up with a program like that. So we didn't limit it to a Japanese artist, but really to have different artists from all over the world to participate in this project. So in the screen, what you can see is this is an Indian artist. Did a let's draw together. And so this artist became a teacher, and those who understand English, those who understand Japanese, so kids, they joined the class and they were able to create art. So what's going on with this one is the travel art school, no, the task. So right now, there's this Abeno town. So foreigners who live in that area in Osaka is they have different local residents who are foreigners who speak different languages. So we felt that maybe now the local children can have these kinds of exchange with foreigners who are living in Osaka as teachers, so they can teach the kids who are living in that area and do some workshops. So that's what we're currently doing right now, focusing on the kids in that area. And I think that's already the last part of our slide. So we have 2 minutes left. So I'd like to go into the closing of our presentation. So about 14 minutes. I'm so thankful that we were able to share activities today. Thank you so much for your attention for 14 minutes. As I mentioned during the talk, we have residency projects in Osaka, and even internationally, we would really like to do projects, joint projects with artists from different countries. So unlike most residences, no, we do not we're very open. Like if you have ideas, we're very ready to listen to any ideas. Yesterday, we had two German curators, just came, and then together we started to discuss about what we can do together with Osaka artists. So if you have any ideas, please feel free to contact us anytime. Now, right now, we're not doing an open for residents, artist residents, but if you would like to email us, or if you want to do an exhibit, or if you want, or you are going to do an exhibit. So these things, if you could email us and contact us, we would be very happy to learn about these things. Please contact us. So that's it. Thank you so much for your attention. Abe-san and Mark.
Yeah, thank you very much, Kenji and Yukawa-san. And thank you for touring us virtually about travel. And I think later we will have a lot of questions, maybe online and on site, because when we posted about post LCC, many ask about what is LCC, because here we call it budget airlines, almost the same. So maybe we can talk about it later. And
low-cost carrier.
Yeah, low-cost carrier. And yeah, maybe later we can also talk about, because you are not only artist, you organize a lot. So I wonder how this kind of organizing and exhibition making is also connected to your art practice. Yeah, thank you, Tatrabe.
Yeah,
Thank you.
Arigato.
Arigato.
So, so on that note, we will move to the next presenter, our guest speaker, Mr. Ryotaro Fuyuki. And he was just here a few months ago in Lodadito as a resident artist. Fuyuki was born in 1984 in Toyama Prefecture. He graduated from Kyoto City University of Arts in 2010 with a degree in sculpture. He is now based in Kyoto and Osaka. His solo exhibitions include a negative Evaginate, Enokojima Art, Culture, and Creative Center, Osaka Prefecture, Enoko in 2017, and Soremo Utsukushi. Difference is beautiful. Higashi Osaka Art Museum in 2019. In 2017, he stayed in New York as a grantee of the Yoshino Gypsum Art Foundation. Ryotaro, please, the screen is yours.
Yes.
Oh, sorry. Bad feedback. Very bad feedback. Okay.
Everyone, can you hear? 聞けてんのかな
Can you hear me? Yes. Hello.
聞こえてます。
ありがとうございます。
Thank you very
Thank
much.
you for introducing about me, Mark-san. I'm Ryotaro Fuyuki. I'm contemporary artist in
I'm
Osaka,
Ryota. I'm contemporary artist in Osaka, Japan. From now, I'll be introducing my activities.
よろしくお願いします。
So, thank you in advance for your attention.
じゃあ、すいません。
So,
今からは
I would
日本語で
speak in Japanese
説明させていただきます。
and I will explain my presentation.
はい、通訳さんよろしくお願いします。冬木
So,
陽太郎と申します。
I'm Fuyuki Ryotaro, Ryotaro Fuyuki. I
38歳
am 38 this year. I became 38 years old this year.
芸術大学アートスクールを
So I graduated from the Kyoto Art School. After I graduated from the Kyoto Art
制作活動
School till now, I have been doing my art creation.
もう本当に木
Since
と
I
か
began
鉄とか
working,
主な
I
マ
would
テリアル
use
で使うような
steel,
本当に割とオーセンティックなタイプの彫刻
steel, soil, so very authentic. So I make very authentic sculpture. So I would make these types of creations. I would do exhibitions, and after gaining many experiences, I started to have a perspective of art, and then the society and political point of view. Travel has talked about the economy, and because of the economy, it's easier for people to travel, right? So that's the influence that created a kind of society. The society was influenced because of that. So in my case, I also look at the connection, and then seeing these different connections, the way I express things have also evolved or changed. To really describe my work, simply, it's something in between sculpture and situation. So yeah, my work is something like that, in between sculpture and situation. I've been thinking about how changing the object or output, the destination of an action, can connect it or create another special relationship. Maybe there's this special or unique relationship. So us like people and a thing or a action, or so there's this connection and there's this possibility in that situation, in the changes that happen. So I'll present some of the works I have produced based on the idea and also my recent activities. Abe-san, if you can show my slide now. Okay, so this artwork title is, it says emotional branch point. So yeah, so it's emotional branch point. That's the title. So let me describe this work. So this work with Yuka-san and Yoshida-san also visited. Now they came, and so I think they also remember seeing this work when they visited my exhibit. So this actually is a small world that they in person. So what is this work about? So there's this Enoko Island, but it's like a contemporary art center in Osaka. So that's where I had my research and also an exhibit here. So that's where I had this exhibition. So, so this is the, so when workers at the art center, when they're working, right, regularly, in that work that they do, maybe they'll feel some anger or negative emotions, irritation. They can use this this creation to crush oranges, when they feel anger. So when they squeeze or crush it, right, the orange juice will create it. So the person who would crush the orange using this thing could drink the orange. So there's, so the deformed oranges are now placed in several locations in the building, separate from this exhibition space. So here you see how the orange crushing machine. So this is part of that. So that's, how do I describe this? They would, the person standing can press this part, then the wire will have a force, then the orange will crush, and then the juice, and then you drink the juice. How can I describe this? It's not about, like, it doesn't have to be a Japanese or Filipinos, but anyone who is working, right? And then you have this emotion, irritation, anger, to, like, you shouldn't do it, but sometimes when you're irritated, you want to do something, you want to punch or grip or crush, or you shouldn't do it, but you feel like doing it, right? To replace that stress into something else. So this one is like, if you transfer that strength, that anger, into another object, right? Whether it's paper, you rip the paper, or you can also break the plate, right? You can break plate. But with orange, you crush it, then it produces juice, right? Then there's a juice, you crush it, they produce juice, so you can drink it, right? So I thought that connection, right? Usually, if you rip paper or break a plate, that's it, right? Your stress, it ends there. But in this case, there's a continuation after crushing, because if you crush the orange, there's this scent. The entire place, the venue of this exhibition, there's this scent of the orange, and so it smells really good, right? But you think about it, your irritation and anger at work, you put it on the orange, but then the good smell of the orange come out. So you wonder, right, what is this? It think for me it was interesting that the result of that anger is juice and good aroma. So during this exhibit, there was 120 oranges. I believe I was able to have. So, so it's not a regular, place to put your stress, right? To release your stress. But this one is a different way of showing the stress you're feeling. So a different way of expressing your stress. So the next one, so this is the total exhibition, and then on the right side, that's like one of the oranges that's placed as an exhibit or part of the exhibit in another place of that exhibition. So that's the close-up of the orange. So this is how the orange looks after you crush it. Yes. So next slide. Here. So the previous slide is 2017. And then after this, after 6, 7, 8 months, I was living in New York. And as Mark-san said, introduced at the beginning, so I was able to receive that opportunity to stay in New York. And so this one was exhibited in New York. So these are the crushed oranges as well. And then it was scattered in the gallery space. And then the one on the right is also this is a picture of where I stayed. I had my art opportunity. So next slide. So this one is 2019 work. So the title is Sudden View. No? So the view that came suddenly. So I have a video of the actual art. If I would like you to watch this video, and then I would like to explain about this artwork that I made.
で、この作品は19台の
This work,
車を使った作品
so we have
で、
19
単
cars,
純に言うと車の
and
クラクション
simply explain the
定を
horns, the car horns. We adjusted the notes, the pitch of
わかりますかね
the car horns.
ベルで
Are
一
you
音一音
familiar with a handbell? Each person holds up two bells,
まあ
and
一台の
then
車
each person has a note. So one car has one note, another car has another note, no? Another pitch. And so I placed the 19 cars in this venue. And at the beginning, it will sound like noise, really disturbing noise, irritating noise at the start.
はい、ありがとうございます。
Thank you very much.
作品の、発
This
表の背
artwork,
景にあるのが、大阪の茨城市っていう
so in Osaka,
市から
Ibaraki
やや北
City,
側にあるんですけど、
it's north
そこ
of
で、
the center
茨
of the
城市
city.
の部分と僕と茨城市が、
So this is
組んで
Ibaraki City and
一
I.
日だけの作
Okay,
品
this is a 1 day only art exhibit
で、
that we did.
この19台の車は、
Now this 19
プロジェクトの過程
cars,
の中で、
uh,
茨城市に住んでいる皆さんに、
so the
まあ、こういう
we asked
ことを
the people living in Ibaraki
説明
City,
して、
we explained the background of this project and we asked them if they could lend us their car just for 1 day to do this exhibit, and then invited people for just for that day, and we did this exhibit only for 1 day.
題目として、
Now the theme,
このプログラムの最初の趣旨として、
so for this program,
あったんですけど、
so
僕がその公共という
in terms
もの
of
に思ったの
art,
は、なんか、まあ、いいとか悪いとか
what I thought of
肯定とか否定せずに、
with
ま
like
ず
it's not about good or bad or like or dislike,
ためには
but
同じ
what
経験をしてない
can
とダメだと思う。
I do? So a lot of different people can talk about it. So I felt that they all have to go through the same experience for people, for different kinds of people to discuss. So just doing it 1 day, making sure that everyone, these different people, go through the same experience. So that's where the background idea came from, and then we did this. Another idea, another reason is so in Ibaraki City, we had 2 typhoons that were really, really strong. And Japanese houses, older houses, are made of kawara. It's the roof tile on the roof, and it's a very heavy kind of roof tile. But then that was even blown away. So that was how strong the typhoon was. So we also wanted to do something because of the crisis that happened. So in Japan, after tsunami or after earthquake, so cars, would look like this. It would be parked or placed very randomly. So everyone has that experience. So of course, these natural disasters shouldn't happen, but when it happens, or if it happens, right, your regular life, everyday life is disrupted. And so, and maybe you feel bad, you feel sad, but if you all have the same experience, equal, the same experience, that's when everyone is able to recover or get up and move forward, right? So that was also the premise or idea behind this. So I'll go to the next slide. So this is part of my research. This is not this is not my work, sorry. It's about the research. But going back to the project that I did. So the orange is transferring your irritation, anger into the orange, right? Or right, irritation. Now the car horn, just randomly, if you hear it, it's also irritating, right? It's like, I'm here, I'm here. That's how horns are for. So it's irritating. But then if it connects with different sound, different notes, these nuance, right, the noise can actually end up creating something good, music. So to combine these contradictions, connect the contradiction into one work. So that's how the two are similar. Now in June, July, I went to Manila for my research. So that's my picture when I was in Manila. So Mark's son is in the picture on the left side, and Mark's son and a lot of people really supported me for about a month and a half, about 6 weeks of my research. Um, the reason why I decided to go for a research in Manila, it was really right before the pandemic happened, 2020 January. I visited Manila, but I didn't go there as like a researcher, for an artist. I just really went to the Philippines to learn English, like a study abroad program. Like I personally have been to New York or in Europe, and I never had a difficult time before. But when I went to New York, I realized how bad my English skill was. So it really dawned on me. So I told myself I should really seriously study English. So with that, there's like a study program for English. And maybe Filipinos are familiar with Cebu in Manila. So there are places where we can learn. So about 2 months ago, about 2 months, I learned English. And the person who taught me, someone as old as my mother, maybe 60 plus years old. But then we really got along with that English teacher. So I talked about, that I'm a contemporary artist. And when she found out what I do, she really became very interested. And she was saying she does soprano, she's a singer, or she would share about the political, situation in the Philippines, and etc. And then at the start of one lesson, she told me that, oh, you're gonna be interested in this. So she showed using her laptop or computer, and she showed me some art, and it's the bottled ship. So it's a ship uh that's inside a bottle, and it's like a display for the house. So she showed me a picture or video of that. And she said, I know they're selling this in Japan also. And then she said, this one is part of the prisoner in Manila. It's like their work that they make in prison. So she taught me that, and it made me become very interested in that, no, in that project or in that program. So looking at the video of the bottle ship, it looked very complex. Like, what does a ship mean in the Philippines or in Filipinos? And I felt like ship is very important. It's an island country, so you need a ship. The Spanish came to the Philippines with a ship. There are different meanings behind a ship for Filipinos. Of course, ship is supposed to be also a sign of freedom. So, but then ship is symbolizes freedom, but then it's created in a prison as part of their program, which is very contradictory of making something that symbolizes freedom in a place where there's no freedom. So that made me really interested. So even after I finished my English lesson, I wanted to really pursue this as a research. And so when I planned this, uh, it took, and then after 2 years, finally I was able to 2 years. I was able to have the research, and they call it New Bilibid. New Bilibid. It's not exactly in Manila, but it's on the southern area. So I actually visited the Bilibid prison, and the person beside me is, I think, officer, and she was telling me that she was teaching English for Japanese employees in a Japanese company. So she suddenly said, "Are you Japanese?" in Nihongo. So I was like, wow, you can speak Japanese. So from the beginning, I had this impression of her. And to be able to meet her really was a success of this project. And so this one, so when I entered the New Bilibid prison, there's like a store. There's like a gift shop. Yeah, it's a gift shop immediately when you get in. And so there, I saw the actual, because I only saw the video, right? So I was able to see an actual uh, one. And Mark-san, we bought, no, if you remember correctly, I was able to buy this bottled ship. Next, we were selling different things. This is a cross. This is a cross key holder. This is also part of the prison work. So listening to the situation, they would make these types of displays, objects. They call it objects in Japan. So these prisoners would make, using beads, using wood. This very detailed type of work is women in prison would make this. And then the next picture, please. Okay, so in the New Bilibid prison, there's also a Japanese in the inside part of the prison, there is this grave. So it's very different from the Japanese prison. There's a forest. It's like you're inside the forest, and then there's different buildings or structures. So I think part of the prison activities, they also take care of goats, and they probably do some farm work. So that's the kind of environment this is. So usually you can't enter, you're not allowed to enter. Uh, you can't just freely enter. You have to have an approval to go inside. And but then after the pandemic started, we weren't allowed, or people aren't easily allowed. But then I knew about this grave. So I mentioned it to her, the person who met with me. So she went with me. She said, normally we can't enter here, but I was able to go inside this this stenotaph. Yes. Now this one, so the bottle strip is I'm not yet done with the research. But these are other work that based on the research that I made. When I participated in one of the exhibits in Tokyo, I would show you the results of my research, this work that I have created. So this one, Nielsen. So it's a paper plane. So this is in Japan Foundation in Makati. There's a restaurant called Blackbird in Makati, and maybe people in the Philippines, Manila is familiar. So the Blackbird restaurant was it was an airport. So in the 30s, it's like a control tower of the airport. So it's like the American what's this, military used it. The Japanese military may have used it also as the airport control center. So now that place is it's a restaurant. It's a high-end restaurant with fusion dishes. So it's the Nielsen Tower. So this one is a menu. So I made this paper plane using the menu of Blackbird. Why did I think of making this? This is, well, my thinking was about monument. So what is a monument? The monument is usually like a sculpture in a public place. It may have political or powerful. So historically, right, it's made not for something powerful and influential. So even like in religion, right, like you remove all these other beliefs, religions, and then you build a church, right? So you dictate or you conquer that place with that structure. So monument. And so if I think of that, so these monuments are very biased to the maker. Also, monuments are also there, so we'll never forget, right? So that's the amazing thing about monuments, is that it's something we don't forget. But anybody can make a monument, like in the Blackbird menu, right? Anybody can make this paper plane using the paper menu of Blackbird. So I also thought that this is quite radical in thinking, because I remember the airport. That's why it's an airplane. It's made of paper in Blackbird. So it, as a artwork, this is not like the answer of what could be a symbol, but this is something. It's not like my unique work, right? This is something anyone can make. But then I was okay with that idea that anybody can make this work, this artwork. This one is how the paper plane was displayed in the exhibition. Next, this is also through the research. I made this in Manila. So these are sneakers I just picked up on the street. Really, really dilapidated shoes. I just found it on the street. I picked it up. It's a Nike. It's the biggest biggest share in sneakers. Nike actually got their technology from the Japanese shoemaker. They started, so they imported these ideas and then they exported their thing. So if you really look at the history, after the war, the Japanese companies had this technology, and then they created, based on American standard, these Japanese factories started to make these things, and Nike is one of those. So now, rappers and NBA basketball players would wear this, and then now they make in China, Philippines. And then so this is now thrown away in the street. So it speaks of time, it speaks of economy, it speaks. I feel like it went through a lot, and as at the end, it's an artwork. So it was a product, and then it became trash. and then now it's a work of art, right? So it has, it has its history. So it has history. It was thrown away as trash. I picked it up and then made it as as an exhibition, as an artwork. So there. So next. Now this one, this is my activity starting this month. So the earlier work, so in Kobe Republic Art Project, starting this month, I would be participating here. And this project is a research-based project. And as stated here, so thinking of different sciences, different industries, like sociology, humanity. So within this context, thinking of communities on how immigrants are living, given that situation. Previously, when I viewed this webinar, our other speakers were asking also for information. So I also would like to, how to call this? Have a communication with Filipinos, whether it's company or art information. If you have anything I could find out, I could research. I would like to hear about these things. If there's anything you can share. So this is the immediate project that I am going to do. And then lastly, so today Yuka-san and Yoshida-san, so we are creating, art here, and this is our base, and then we would be so if we can see the video, so we can see, can you see our venue? Wait, can you see? So Yoshida-san's camera is showing the venue, if that can be shown. Yeah, there, okay. So this is their space. So, so this is where we are broadcasting our presentation today. Thank you. So yeah, this is where we're and birds. So there's the URL. So please see the chat box for the URL, the website. Thank you very much. The birds is, as a member, we do activities. So we have this base called the birds. So this is our base. Now this one is not really a collective, but it is a movement. So maybe activities or exercises. So I do a lot of work here. Yoshida-san does also a lot of things here at Birds. So with Birds, it started after the pandemic or during the pandemic. So it's our third year. working with birds. So artists were doing their own thing, creators doing their own thing in different places.
例えばメディア何かに取り上げられているのかっていうことですよね。
And if you ask us, like, are these artists being picked up by media, right? So are information available in website? No, so there are ways to show through online, but as a artwork, how can this be how can we spread the different activities of these different artists? So we thought of really interviewing these artists and really dig deeper into their thing. So it's like we're extending or helping or assisting in these activities of these individual artists. And we are able to have a location, an actual venue. So it started in September. So like the Travel, also I would like to continue our activities together. And so I feel that, you know, there are difference between how we do in the Philippines, how we do in Japan, and then how it's done in other countries like the Philippines. うん
そういった今回の、ドキュメンタのような、ギャザリングする方法っていうんですかね。
So we're thinking of how we can gather, how we can have a common experience.
要は、個
And
人個人が違いがあったりとかバラバラであるっていうことをちゃんと明文化するのが、
okay.
実は
Okay. Sorry. Birds is more, the purpose of birds is more of emphasizing the differences that each individual has to really identify, you know, what is unique or what is different with that artist. For example, Filipinos, you know, as a country, depending on the province, the words, no, the language is different. Therefore, maybe the thinking is different. And also the environment, really, there are a lot of things that the Philippines went through in history. Unlike maybe Japan, like everyone speaks the same language, everyone worked you know, everyone equally after the war, equally economically, they're close, you know, they're similar. So that's the awareness of people, but that's disappearing now. So these economic differences, there are those who are, you know, in depression, they're going through, and then these senior citizens killing themselves, and like, so even in Japan there's this division that it's so different also, it's not anymore exactly the same, like, and so birds would like to also express these things, the changes through art, so we'd like to pursue that. So that's about it, I think. So these are my art activities, as well as what are the things we've been doing, and I also shared with you about birds, our thoughts and our activities. So that's what I explained. For those who listen to the interpreter, thank you very much. That's all. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Ryotaro, for your presentation. And it's the first time I learned about your other projects, and because you're busy here in Manila, going around. So earlier, while Skisix and Abisan was installing here in the space, one person asked them if they're selling orange here because they put up the banner of Japan Foundation. So I remind about your project with this Japan Foundation that year. So it's interesting. Yeah. So what else? And then Shusa mentioned about the horns, your project about the cars, and she said it's every day in her apartment, near her apartment. So there's a lot of kind of like experiences that life can be part. I mean, art is part of life, something like that. I don't. So yeah, thank you very much, Kenji, Yukang, and Ryotaro for your presentation. And we learn a lot about your practices and similarities and differences, because both of you are working in Kansai. Osaka is not the main arts hub city like Tokyo. So I would like to know more also about that later, and maybe questions from the viewers. And also the idea of circulation and movement, both of your projects, both of your practices. Travel, talking about the economy of tourism, and Ryotaro also talk about the economy of objects naman, and how objects are circulated around the world. And yeah, and of course art world is also about that, like circulation and also speculation also. So thank you for your presentations, and we will have question and answer portion. And if someone wants to ask some question to our speakers, you can use the chat, or you can also raise your hand if you want to ask some questions about the practice, or if you want to go to Osaka, something like they can host you. So yeah. Oh, Abe-san.
はい、ありがとうございます。ちょっとハウリングしてしまうので、外に。冬木さん、吉田さん、湯川さん、本日はありがとうございました。
安倍さん、もう少しでかい声で喋ってもらっていいですか？
こっちで。
すみません。I think this is the difficulty of the hybrid.
Okay.
いいだな。あれ、みんなオフになってる。
本当だ。
やってるんです
聞こえますでしょうか。
はい。はい。
はい。
皆さん大変失礼しました。Sorry for everyone. じゃあここからはユミさん、逐次通訳でもしこちらのオーディエンスの方と、つなげていただけると思います。で、まずはじめに Q&A に入る前に、冬木さん、吉田さん、湯川さんに、感謝をお伝えしたいのと、もうお話を聞きながらですね、今後、ジャパンファンデーションマニラとして、大阪の、トラトラベルさん、冬木さんなどと、どんなコラボレーションができるんだろうということをもうすでに、頭の中でいろいろ考えたり、楽しみになってきております。で、一つ、気になったというか、非常に関心を持ったのが、トラトラベルさんの、エアーデルタというプロジェクトですね。各国から、アーティスト、キュレーターの方が日本に行って、いろいろと活動されるということですけれども、
例えば、ジャパンファンデーションマニラとして、そのプロジェクトをですね、サポートさせていただくというようなことができるのではないかというふうに思いました。で、もちろん、それに参加したいという方、関心を持たれた方が、今日のオーディエンスの方の中にもたくさんいらっしゃると思いますので、ぜひ、もし、今日のオーディエンスの方で、関心のある方がいらっしゃれば、もう少しトラトラベルさんにそういったお話を聞きたいとか、そういった質問も今日していただけたらいいのかなと思います。
So first, I'd like to express my gratitude to Fuyuki-san and Yoshida-san and Yukawa-san for your presentation today and for sharing everything that you shared today. Now, listening to your presentation, I was thinking of how Japan Foundation could really be working with all of you. And so I was very much interested in the activities of everyone, but specifically I was interested in the travels, what's this, Air Delta. So this one is, you invite different curators and artists from different countries, and then they're able to work and, create their exhibits there. And so I was thinking that perhaps Japan Foundation Manila would be able to support this project, from now on. And so maybe for those who are listening or watching today, maybe some of you are also now thinking, there's a light bulb moment right now that, oh, maybe you're the one who wants to participate for this through the Japan Foundation support. So if you have any questions to Travel about that particular project of Air Delta, you can also ask, take an advantage of this venue to ask some questions if you're interested.
ちょっと由美さん補足していいですかね。
Okay, Suzuki-san would
今、
like to
安倍
add
さんが
something.
はい、言ったことにちょっと補足、英語でしますね。So I'd like to
Okay.
make a comment additionally about what Mr. Abe explained to you earlier, because I think as the final moment of the Fuyuki-san's presentation, movement is very important movement. Suppose, in a sense, today's seminar's topic is one of the most important issues is how to relate with each other and how to appreciate, not only appreciate with art, but also how to participate, how to take participation in the art directory. In this sense, JCAP, this platform should be a kind of dynamic movement to provide the direct exchange project between Philippine artists and Japanese artists. In this sense, so just a moment ago, I talked with Abe. Oh, yeah, hinted. Okay, we can proceed to other step to further steps to provide a very moderate a kind of scholarship or travel grant for especially those who are participating today. So it means that JCAP platform is becoming a kind of movement, not only just a platform or just webinar. So please participate actively. Thank you.
Thank you, Abe-san. Suzuki-san.
Suzuki-san.
Who wants to ask question? Maybe I have a question to all of you, Ryotaro, Yukang, and Kenji. I know you've been traveling, doing also projects, residencies around the world. And what's the interest about the Philippines or Southeast Asia? So something that maybe you can share as because your practice also is some are very research based and collaborative. And what do you see? What is the interest on working in the Philippines?
You mean what they are interested in doing with the Philippines? Is that your question?
Yeah, why they got interested in working with Filipino artists the Filipino experiences,
Okay.
history.
皆さん、フィリピンのアーティストともいろいろなコラボレーションとか、調査、リサーチとかやってますが、そのフィリピンのそのアーティストとか、歴史でもいいですし、文化でもいいんですけど、どういうところがこう興味を持たれたか、このフィリピン、全体になぜフィリピンに興味を持ったかという質問です。
僕からいいですか。今聞こえてますかね。いけますかね。じゃあ、僕から、答えます。僕の経験で言うと、やっぱり最初にアメリカ、ニューヨークに行ってから、たまたまフィリピンに行ってっていう、その、日本を含めた日本、フィリピン、アメリカっていう、その3つの国の関係で考えたときに、とても興味深い位置にあるのが、フィリピンだなと思っています。で、それは、やっぱりその、大戦みたいなことが、主軸にあって、それ以降の歴史があると考えたときに、やっぱり日本はその、被害者側面と加害者側面の両方があるというか、とても複雑な関係が生まれていく中で、日本にいる中では見れない日本の、ネガティブな側面がやっぱりそこにはあるっていうこと。あるいは、それ以降でも、なんていうんですかね。なんかフィリピンの人たちの方が民主というか、みんなで、政治が変わる経験を知ってるんですよ。多分日本ってまだ、自分らで革命してないんですよ、一回も。なんかそれを知ってると知ってないっていうのが、何か土台として大きく違うんじゃないかっていうふうになんか僕は考えていて、そこはとても興味深いと思います。
So this is my personal experience, but as I said earlier, I went to the United States first in New York, and then I just happened to also go to the Philippines. And so being a Japanese, knowing Japan, and then experiencing the Philippines and the United States, these three countries have this unique relationship, which became very interesting for me, especially the Philippines became very interesting for me. There's a commonality between these three countries. Of course, there's the war and then the history. And there is the perpetrator and the victim, at some point, the other country is the victim, and in other perspective, this country is the victim. So it was very interesting also that from the Filipinos' perspective, there are negative things about Japan that the Filipinos saw that we don't really see while being in Japan. And beyond that, Filipinos also, as a country, as a nation, as a nation, witness changes in politics, changes in regime, as collectively as a country, which is something that the Japanese has not experienced. So there are these things that Filipinos have experienced collectively as a country, as a nation, that really makes me quite interested, become very interested in the Philippines.
Thank you.
Okay.
Kenji, you want to add or?
以上でしょうか。その他何か。
はい。今、冬木君の言ってるやっぱり歴史的な背景でもすごい日本であったりとかフィリピンですごい絡み合ってると思うんですけど、2020年のそのポスト LCC 時代のっていう展覧会をやった時からもう連続してやっぱロードナリートとの関係っていうのが続いてて、やっぱり僕からするとすごい、フィリピンって行ったことないんですけれども、その、マークであったりとか平野さんたちの活動を通してある種そのなんていうか隣人に開かれたであったりとか、要は政府のその選挙に対してとか、そういったものとかをやっぱり聞く中で、なんていうか違う角度から僕としてはフィリピンをちょっと捉えてるかなと、考えています。で、 実際に今の今回本のプロジェクトをやるって言ったとしても、やはりなんていうか、日本の展覧会っていうふうに考えると、やはりちょっと本当に展覧会をしっかり作り上げるっていうことと、やっぱ違う背景であったり、違う視点っていうのは、やっぱりロードダニットは持ってて、それっていうのはなんか、他者と共同すると言ったとしても、そこにすごいヒエラルキーのなさっていうのを、僕は感じているので、実際にフィリピンに赴いていったときに、今感じている、フィリピンの印象がどういうふうに身体的にも接続されていくのかなっていうのを、また行けて体験できたらと思ってます。
Okay. So in my case, yes, historically, I see that the Philippines and Japan is very much intertwined. And speaking of the presentation earlier about the post-LCC or the post-budget fair in 2020, there are things that I've never been to the Philippines, but then I do learn a lot about the Philippines through Mark-san and through Hirano-san. And so they would also, share to me about the political side or about the election. So I'm able to learn or understand or see the different side, the different perspective of the Philippines through their eyes and their experience. And in doing, these projects like the book, because in Japan, if we do some exhibit in Japan, we have to really we have to really create a solid, very organized exhibit. But then learning about the Philippines, I see a different perspective or different point of view of how people see these things. And so by working together, I also realized that there's really no hierarchy. There's no strictness in hierarchy in the Philippines. So I'm actually looking forward to how I'll physically, like how I would experience and feel the Philippines based on what I know, never been in the Philippines. And if I go there and experience it firsthand, I'm very interested to see how different it might be or how same my experience will be.
りゅうみさん、ありがとうございます。
はい。
Calling Japan Foundation.
Shall I too? Maybe.
Yes.
Okay. 質問なんだったっけなぜ what was the question? Why we are interested in artists from Philippines and the relationship with them, right? Kind of.
はい。
はいね。もちろんこれまでの活動を通してたり、僕個人としてもフィリピンの方とか、フィリピンのアーティスト、じゃあ大阪の中に住んでるフィリピンの方とか、いろんな交流があって、じゃあ僕の場合、なんでしょう。実際に知り合うことから初めて興味を持ち始める。てか正しい興味を持ち始めれるっていうか、なんでしょう。いや、例えば最近だと、戦争があったりとか、なんでしょうね。いろんな問題って世界各地になると思うんですけど、実際には僕、やっぱりそこから来た方を知らなかったり、そこに行ったことがないってことで、情報としては理解できるんですけど、やっぱ感情としてどうしてもついていけないっていうのがいっぱいあって、そういう意味でフィリピンとの関係っていうのは、やっぱり実際にフィリピンの方を知ってる。だから一緒に景色を見たりとか、何か問題があるんだったら解決したいし、そういう形に考えています。だから、で、僕もフィリピンに行ったことがないので行ってみたいです。でもっと知ってみたいです。
Okay. So far, personally, in my activities, I know I'm familiar with Filipinos or Filipino artists, or particularly Filipino artists living in Osaka. So in my case, it is because of these exchanges that I have with them that in me, I'm able to understand them in the right way by really communicating and, interacting with these people. And therefore, I get interested. in the Philippines because of the personal relations that I already have. Of course, all around the world, there's war and there's problems with every country, and people from these countries, have their own experiences. And as an information, I'll be able to understand, wherever they're from. But as a feeling, it's hard for me to really relate or understand what they've been through, if not if I do not have an actual relationship with these people. That's why in my case for about Filipinos, since I know them, I know of them, and I know them, I'm able to, I guess, understand. And then, we're able to talk. And then if they have problems, we could discuss and solve these concerns or problems. So I'm able to do that. So that's how I gained the interest in the Philippines. And I also have never been to the Philippines. So I hope that I'll be able to go there soon. Soon.
Thank you. Actually, there's a question here in the audience here, live audience.
Oh. Hmm?
Hi, good afternoon there. My name is Arvin. I would just like,
Where is he?
hi, my name is
Okay.
Arvin, and I would just like to ask this question regarding the artist there. What do you consider your own style individually, and if you can provide us any influences, either past or current influences that influence your activities? Thank you.
3人の、アーティストとしてのスタイルですかね。どういうスタイルをお持ちなのか。あと、影響を感じたというか、影響している、あなたたちのアートを影響している、人物、今、ご健在の方でもいいですし、そうでない方でも、という質問です。じゃんけんしてます。
はい、マキさんで僕から行きます。
nag-jack and poy sila.
で、僕は湯川中洲という形で作品をちょっと発表してるんですけど、
中洲
湯川中安。
中安、はい。
はい。後でウェブページもポストします。で、僕はもともとファッションから来てて、ファッションのバックグラウンドを持って、で途中から2012年から作品を発表してます。そうした背景もあると思うので、作品はインスタレーションを含む、ビデオを含む、ペインティングを含む、もうあらゆるメディアを使ってます。で、多分周りからよく言われるのは、やっぱ各プログラムごとで、サイト性というか土地性や、その土地のバックグラウンドとかを調べながら、作品を作って、そこからどういったその作品のメディア、例えばペインティングであったりとかスカルプチャーとかそういったものを自由に選び取りながら、作品を作ってます。なので、よくみんなからよくわからんっていうのはよく言われるんですけど、でもそこはある種自分が探求したいこと、調べたいこととかが、やはりなんていうか、固執した一つの、制作方法だけに依拠したくないっていうところがあるので、もしよかったらウェブページを見たら、すごく、この作品も作りながら、こんな作品も作りながら、この作品も作ってるんだっていうことを理解していただけると思います。で、影響、だからこそ多分影響。
いいですか？
はい、大丈夫です。すいません。
すみません。Okay, I cut in because it's quite long. Okay, so his artwork is under the name Yukawa Nakayasu, and he would share with everyone his website So my background is in fashion, and it's in 2012 that I started doing artwork. Now, in my case, because of the background that I have, the medium of my artwork is really varied, from installation to video to painting. And what I hear from other people when they see, when they see how I work, they say that, when there's a program, I try to understand the site or the city or the location or venue that where I am at. I try to understand their background. And then based on my learning or my understanding of what I discover, I start to create my work. And then therefore, I'm very free to choose what medium, what type of media I would use. So it could also be painting or sculpture, etc. So the people who actually see the work that I do, they tell me that they don't really understand what I'm doing or what work, what genre or what style it is. But in my case, I just still want to investigate and find out and discover things. And so when all of you also see my work, your reaction will probably be like, oh, he's doing this, and oh wow, he's also making something like that, and wow. So that's probably the way you react when you see my work. どうぞ。
はい。なので、その影響を受けている作家は、本当に数多く、で、もちろん横にいる、ケンジ吉田さんと、冬木亮太郎さんも、受けてるので、多分特別なこの人っていうのは、なかなか逆に多すぎて、言えないぐらいだと思います。以上です。
In terms of with artists that influenced me, there are really many. Of course, amongst them are the guys who are beside me, Mr. Kenji Yoshida and Mr. Ryotaro Fuyuki. But I have too many artists that influences me that there's not enough time for me to really mention all of them. But I do have a lot of artists that influence me. Okay.
はい。いいですか。
いい大丈夫です。
じゃあ次、僕が次、答えます。で、でも今日の僕の作品の、プレゼンテーションを見ていただいたら、割と分かりやすいかなと思います。潰れたオレンジとか、拾ったスニーカーとか、レストランのメニューで作った紙飛行機とか、言ったら、なんていうんですか、意図的に商品にならないようにしてると言いますか、商品になるサイクルから脱落していく作品の形を作っています。で、それは、資本主義に飲み込まれないこととか、そういった価値化されないものとして、どういうことができるかっていうのを考えていますね。で、もう少し言うと、複数手に入れれるっていうことが大事です。靴もスニーカーもそうですし、メニューも。要は、それって、コピーされたものであるんですけれども、複数あるっていうことは、複数の人がそれを持ってたりとか、別々の経験がそれに生まれてるっていうことだと思うんですね。それによって、立場の違いとか状況の違いっていうのを照射するというか、リフレクトする、なんかアンカーポイントみたいなものとして、オブジェクトが使えると思います。だから、そういう意味で、社会構成ソーシャルエンゲージで、あるいは、参加型アートみたいなものを通り過ぎた後に、立体や彫刻で何ができるかっていうのが僕が芸術を通して追求したいことです。
So just like in today's presentation that you saw, the things I use I think it's easy to understand by just seeing what I've made. I use crushed oranges and this is a restaurant menu, paper menu, and then the throwaway sneakers. So it's something that can't be a product in itself, but then I make it so. and in my case, I also don't want to be confined into one thing. Now, in terms of how there are many, like when I create something, there are many of them, meaning a lot of people can experience different things because my artwork is it's a multiple of objects. So a lot of people can own or can have that item, but then they, based on their status or their experience or their interpretation, their experience with that item is different. And also I also dwell into social experimentation as well as participative art, and really for the people to wonder what can I do or what can be done. Like I ask myself, what can be done? What can I do?
あじゃあ僕最後喋りますね。僕は、主にメディアとしてはビデオ、インスタレーション、パフォーマンス、あとよくコラボレーションをして作品を作っています。で、一体じゃあ作品作りを通して何を考えているかっていうと、一般的には理解できないよねみたいなことをなんか諦めずに理解したいなみたいな。ちょっと抽象的ですね。具体的な例を出すと、例えば、なんか僕が作っている作品のシリーズの中に、共通言語がない人同士で一緒に話をするっていう対話のシリーズがあったりするんですけど、それ何をしてるかっていうと、そのままなんですね。本当に共通の言語がない人が一緒に平場で話し合ってみましょうっていうことをすると、もちろんお互い理解できないんですけど、でもお互いが平等に理解できないっていうことで、でも話を続けることで、なんだろう、謎の理解じゃないんですけどね、何かが具体的なキャッチというか、が起きていくというか、ごめんなさい、こんな抽象的な喋り方で翻訳できますか？はい。
頑張ります。Okay. So in my case, the media that I often use is video, installation, performances, and collaboration. In terms of what my thoughts my thoughts in creating my artwork is that generally I want to create something that in general you cannot understand, but it's something that you want to try to understand. So just to give an example to make his very difficult to understand thought process is this. So he has an artwork or a work wherein two individuals who do not speak the same language is going to speak to each other. So obviously, you will never understand what each person is saying to each other, right? The one person cannot understand the other. But then, given that situation, the two individuals would still try to understand what the other people are saying. And although they may not really get exactly what the words are being said, there is this phenomenon that happens in that environment or in that setting where something happens between these two individuals who totally do not speak the same language. So that's the type, I hope you understand that there's this mystery or this phenomenon that occurs even in that environment. And that is something that he's quite interested in pursuing. Yes. Right. Okay.
Suzuki-san.
Yes.
大丈夫ですか？すみません、質問です。シンプルに伺うと、今日は大阪とか、関西っていうのが一つのキーワードなんて伺いますが、シンプルに伺うと、その大阪および関西のアーティストの方々というのは、東京に対してね、対抗意識がどれくらいあるのかって質問なんです。なぜ伺うかっていうと、フィリピンの人が理解するのに分かりやすい。対比するとね、例えばビサヤっていう中部の地方の人たちは非常にマニラとかタガラグ族に対する対抗意識が非常に強いですね。 でそれに比べて、大阪、関西はどうなのかなっていうことをちょっと伺いたいんです。個人的、自分としては、何度かも大阪行きましたけど、先ほどどなたかのスライドにあった通り、ココルームなんていう活動は、おそらく東京ではなかなか難しい、日雇い労働者とか、路上生活者のおじちゃん、おばちゃんたちを巻き込んだプロジェクトをしていて、なんか人にすごく近いっていうか、それはフィリピンの人たちのコミュニケーション、フィリピンの人たちも非常にお互いが近い文化ですから、につながるのかなと思ったこともあるので、ちょっと伺います。
So Suzuki-san's question is that obviously one of the key words of these three guest speakers is that they're from Osaka or they're from the Kansai region. And Suzuki-san would like to find out if the Kansai-based artists have any feeling of competitiveness towards those who are in Tokyo. The reason he asks this is because Filipinos maybe can identify very well with this competitiveness that he speaks of, because people from the Visayas region really expresses their competitiveness towards people in Manila or those who are the Tagalogs, right? Another reason why Suzuki-san asked this is because I think it was in one of the presentation that the Koko something. Yeah. So the Osaka, they have this project wherein they utilize or they ask participation of laborers, the really ground workers and they really have this very close contact with these people, which is very similar to how Filipinos are in terms of culturally. So he's just interested in how, yes, that's the reason why he feels that there are works that they can do in Osaka that can't be really done in Tokyo. So yeah, so that's the background of why Suzuki-san is asking if Kansai artists feel a strong competition with the Tokyo artists.
はい、じゃあ、冬木からまず、答えさせていただきます。大阪は神戸とか京都っていう、他の都市とものすごい近い距離で隣接していまして、で、実はでも大阪って京都とか神戸よりもアーティストは少ないっていうふうに定説的に言われてるんですね。でも単純に人口、一般的な人口でいうと大阪って京都とか兵庫の倍なんですよ。で、どういうことかなっていうふうなのが僕も考えたことがありまして、多分アーティストとかクリエイターっていうふうな言葉でパッケージングされてない人がいっぱいいる話だと思うんです。で、それは先ほどベンさんがおっしゃっていただいたココルームみたいな活動にもつながってると思うんですよね。要は、あれが、いわゆる、なんていうんですかね、美術館とかギャラリーのようなコンテンポラリーアートではない形でも、いろんな、もっと自由というか、ラディカルというか、形での、クリエイティビティだと思うんですけど、そういった枠に収まらない範疇までを、考えれば、かなり、アーティストと呼んでいい人、クリエイターと呼んでいい人は僕はいっぱいいるんじゃないかなと思ってます。で、それは東京にはない状況だと思うんですね。で、簡単に言うと東京の方がもちろんマーケットがしっかりとあって、そういった大きいマーケットは大阪含めて関西にはないです。でも、そういった違いがその活動の幅の土壌につながっていますし、そういった人たちは多分東京も見てないんじゃないかなっていう僕は考えています。はい。
Hi. Okay. His answer is first of all, so Osaka has a neighboring city called Kobe and Kyoto, so it's a very close distance with each other. And it is said that there are less artists in Osaka compared to Kobe and Kyoto, even if population-wise, Osaka is 2 times the population of Kyoto and Kobe. So I would wonder why that is. And I feel that maybe in Osaka, these artists are not actually categorized, or they're not packaged, or they're not nicknamed as artists or curators. So they're not called that. Like for example, the Coco Room project that was mentioned. So that's not happening inside the gallery. It's not like presented as a contemporary art. It's really a very free creative. It's like a free creative outlet. And so the arts that are happening probably in Osaka is not in a box. It's not in a box, and therefore that's probably the reason why this is being that's the point of view of artists in Osaka. Now in Tokyo, these things aren't happening, and the difference with Tokyo is that they have a very big market for art. It exists, which Kansai or Osaka do not, and it's different. And another thing is that perhaps they're not even, how do you call this, acknowledging or interested in what's going on in 東京の方ですよね。東京の方に興味とか考えてない。
そうですね。要はその市場に結びついた芸術っていうのはフォーマットがあると思うんですけど、そういったフォーマットに当てはまらないっていうことは興味がないっていうことになります。
Yeah, so the art in Osaka is really not, it doesn't have a category, it doesn't have a format, it's not in a box, and therefore they're not even thinking, of Tokyo as like a market, or Tokyo as another place to exhibit.
Thank you. Do we have one more question on site?
Yeah, on site.
Hello, konnichiwa.
Konnichiwa.
Okay, my question is, when you are working with your counterparts in other Southeast Asia or other Asian countries, how do you manage burnout? And how does it affect your way of working with your own art, knowing that there might be delays in talking with your counterpart? Or how do you work it out? Would there be any situation before that made you feel that, okay, this collaboration is not working,
Okay.
therefore we have to rethink our way of working as collaborators? Thank you.
Thank you. はい。これは、東南アジアとかアジアのアーティストと一緒に、コラボレーションをやるときなんですが、そういう方たちと、作品を作るときのどういうふうに管理をしているか、燃え尽きるということを言ってるんですね。要するに、うまくいってないっていうか、やりながら、もう嫌になってるというか、遅れてしまうとか、そういういろいろなことがある場合、このコラボレーションに対して、どういうことをするか、やめるのか、それとも考え直すのかとかっていう、そういう経験がありましたら教えてほしいということです。
プレゼンテーションでも少し言ったんですけれども、タイであったりとか、今回のフィリピンのプロジェクトでも、やはりある種、そのコラボレーターに、ある種一つのなんていうか、手助けを僕たちがある種傾いてでもその他のコラボレーターが助けてくれるぐらいの気持ちでどんだけリスペクトできるかっていうことを今回2年連続でプロジェクトしたときに思いました。で、そこで起きるお互いの考えと考えの間にある余白みたいな空間みたいなものが、お互いの可能性を引き合うような、引き出すような、ものがあるんじゃないかなと思っているので、ある種なんていうか、一つの、例えばトラベルがすべてこのイニシアチブを取っていくっていうわけではなくて、ある種3社間とか4社間とか5社間、いろんな部分で、 こう手綱を引き合いながら、プロジェクトが最終的に行き着くっていうことを、成功を求めるっていうよりも、ある種それをこういうアクシデントを楽しんでるっていうような感覚なのかなと僕は思ってます。
Okay. Okay. So I also mentioned about our projects with Thailand, Thai and with Filipinos. And so these are collaborative work. And in a way, when we do this collaborative work, we would, in a way, be willing to lean on their side or accept their help or provide help to them, so that there is this. Sorry. The question is, how much respect can we have for each other? And that's something that I really felt strongly in the 2-year project that I've done, is really how much respect can we really give each other. Because the example he just gave is that, let's say you have an idea and then your counterpart has another idea, then there's this space. And this space is there, and I look at it as how much potential of each other can we bring out into that space to potential of each other, to bring it out, to fill that space, and reach an agreement. So it's like it's like pulling each other's rope and trying to find the middle ground. So it could be, so we're not really like pursuing something to be successful, but rather I look at it as these accidents or these incidents are a place where we can actually have fun and enjoy that particular situation.
Thank you, Yumi-san. Thank you, everyone. Unfortunately, we ran out of time now, and we cut off this Jacob.
Any last words?
Any last words, though? From, anyone?
はい、Q&A が終わりましたので、これは最後になりますが、どなたか何か最後に一言ありますか？
じゃあ僕がちょっと一言言いましょうか。Thank you everyone for attending today. As I mentioned many times earlier, today one of the important topic is about Osaka or Kansai. Because after the Tokyo Olympic 2020, that was actually ended as a very frustrated project for Japanese. The next big project in Japan will be Exposition or Expo Osaka in 2025. There will be also very big national project or international project, which many foreign tourists will visit to Osaka in 2025. So I'm still very interested in travel activities, how to cope with or how to tackle with this nationalistic or international very big project, because you are connecting with the travel or inbound. So I think that the theme is future in the future society in Japan. It's not so idealistic, but okay, let's see what will happen. So Philippine audience, Filipino, please watch for several years, upcoming years, what will happen in Osaka, together with the activity of travel and artists like Fuyuki-san. So don't miss what will happen next. Thank you everyone for なんか無理やり締めになりました。Thank you anyone. See you again.
Thank you, Suki-san. Thank you, everyone. Before we end this webinar, we would like to request our viewers to help us improve our programs and services by filling out the questionnaires that we prepared. We truly value your feedback. With that, on behalf of the Japan Foundation, Manila, I would like to thank you all for spending your rainy Saturday afternoon here in Manila, and most especially to our speakers. Thank you very much for sharing your knowledge and experiences. Thank you again, and watch out for more projects soon. Bye.
Thank you, Mark.
Thank you.
Thank you, everyone.
ありがとうございました。
Bye bye. See you again later. Travel.
Sabihan nyo lang ako.
We have to run. Show the
Ayan si Sir Suzuki.
あ、じゃあね、どうやったら次のズームに行けるんだ、これ。ちょっと
Baka kailangan pang paalaman na yung mga artist. Baka naman pa ibang artist. Wala na sila.
Bye bye.